Velodromes, the fever reliever. And by Fruit of the Loom, America's #1 active wear brand. We fit America. A promotional consideration has been provided by Continental Airlines. Fly Continental Airline to over 80 U.S. and 45 international destinations, including new daily service to Tokyo. Continental, working to be your choice to the world. And by Ogle House Inn, located halfway between Cincinnati and Louisville and Vevey, Indiana, only 2 hours from Indianapolis. Ogle House Inn, a bit of old Switzerland on the Ohio. This has been a production of IPI Sports in association with ESPN.
At 6'4", 225 pounds, Ken Carpenter is the ultimate in American sprinting. At 6 feet even, 210 pounds, Kurt Harnett assumes the same role for Canada. These two men have dominated the sprints in the Sundance Grand Prix, and today there's no exception as they battle in the finals. The Sundance Grand Prix of cycling concludes in Trexlertown, next on ESPN. After 6 stops across the country, we find ourselves in little Trexlertown, Pennsylvania, in the beautiful Lehigh Valley for the culmination of America's only nationwide series of track cycling. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Drebber, and with me, as usual, is Thomas Prenn, and joining us this week, former Olympic champion Mark Gorski. And what we're seeing in the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix is very tight competition in the series overall. On the women's side, a tremendously tight race, but on the men's side, practically a runaway. First, the women, Thomas Prenn, and we have young Janie Eickhoff, who's led from the start, being challenged by Lucy Tyler.
That's right. It's so tight, Brian, that we're not going to be able to determine the overall champion until the final event.
And on the men's side, Mark Gorski, Sean Wallace really has been a walkaway, a runaway.
Well, his all-around ability is really well suited for the Sundance series, and he's dominated so far.
So Sean Wallace leading the men's division, and Jane Eickhoff and Lucy Tyler battling it out for the women. And one of the featured events of the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix, of course, is the match sprints. Now, on the women's side, we have a little bit of an unusual situation this week. Renee Duprell and Julie Spade of Australia will face each other, Thomas.
That's right. Connie Young has had an unfortunate accident, or her family has had a loss of a family loved one, and she's not going to be here. But it's going to really give us a tremendous final for the women.
On the men's side, Mark Gorski, you've raced against both these men. They have been dominant thus far in the series, and they've been dodging each other from circumstances, if you will. But here they are in the final together, Kurt Harnett and Ken Carpenter.
I think we're going to have our most interesting final so far because we're well into the season now. They're both at prime form. So it's going to be a real battle between those two.
In fact, Ken Carpenter had a comment about racing against his nemesis, Kurt Harnett, the big Canadian.
I feel up for it, and I feel good. I have a unique situation that I feel like I'm kind of the underdog. In our last 2 outings, Kurt rode better than I did, and he came out the winner. So, you know, everybody likes to be the underdog, and that takes the pressure off me. And I think it's going to be a typical Ken Carpenter and Kurt Harnett match where it's just get to the front and put the hammer down. So I'm looking forward to it.
So we're looking forward to the match sprint final. We also have a lot of other events, including the women's pursuit. That's going to be a very exciting race, and one that could have a very big bearing on the outcome in the overall series for the women.
It could. Every single point that the women receive at this point is very critical.
And in the men's pursuit side, Sean Wallace, who has won virtually every event, he set a track record in qualifying out here. So his performance is something we'll have to look forward to.
Wally has just ridden unbelievably. He seems to be getting faster as the year goes on. He's been very impressive.
So some of the exciting events that we will be also seeing include the Kieran, which I have to say is my personal favorite, and we've heard that it's the favorite of many of you out there as well. So we have lots of races coming up, and we will be right back. Stay with us. The finals of the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix of Cycling.
They won the big ones, Wimbledon, U.S. Open, Davis Cup, and hundreds of major events all over the globe. If you're a tennis fan, you know Arthur Ashe and Stan Smith as two of the greatest champions America has ever produced. And they're here on this outstanding video cassette. Welcome to Tennis Our Way, a program designed to help you play better and have a heck of a lot more fun while you're doing it. In this program, these two great players will share all they know about the shots and tactics that have made them winners.
We are going to tell you what we've learned over the years. Some big and little tips for success in tennis.
Tennis our way could be tennis your way.
Together, we'll show you how to get the most out of yourself and out of this great game.
Tennis Our Way, a 2.5-hour video cassette, just $39.95. Call now and get this program guide and handbook absolutely free. Tennis Our Way. Call 1-800-222-6356. That's 1-800-222-6356.
200 years ago, the only way to see Sydney Harbor was from the deck of a prison ship. Today, you can relax in the back of a water taxi as you cruise to Watson's Bay and Doyle's on the beach, where you can feast on everything from Sydney rock oysters to Tasmanian trout. But if you go, come early and bring your Visa Gold card. Because at Doyle's, they don't run their water taxi all night, and they don't take American Express. Visa Gold, it's everywhere you want to be.
Opening a Sundance sparkler can be a spectacular event.
Look! I bet it's the Northern Lights.
Sundance, a unique combination of delicious taste and dazzling effervescence. Just all natural fruit juices and pure sparkling water. No added sugar, no aftertaste. Sundance, so much sparkle, it puts refreshment in a whole new light.
You've done this before.
Welcome back to Trexlertown, Pennsylvania for the finals of the Sundance Grand Prix of Cycling, brought to you by All Natural Sundance Juice Sparkler. It puts refreshment in a whole new light. Lehigh County Velodrome opened in 1975, had its first full season in 1976. 1/3 of a kilometer around, 28-degree banking at its steepest point, located just outside Allentown, Pennsylvania in the Lehigh Valley. Beautiful day for bike racing here today. Nice and dry, no rain that has characterized the weather in the Northeast for the last few weeks and even months. A sunny day, virtually perfect conditions. A little bit breezy, though. That might be a factor. Getting set for the men's sprint final here at Trexlertown, Pennsylvania. And it's the battle of the big men, if you will. Our finalists in the match sprint. 3-lap race. They draw for their position on the track before the start, and the rider at the bottom, number 1, leads the first full lap at a walking pace unless he's voluntarily overtaken by the other. The race is timed for the final 200 meters, generally for comparison purposes, fast race, slow race, but it's the first rider across the line that wins, although you must defeat your opponent twice. It's a best-of-3 series. Ken Carpenter at the trackside right there, riding for the Celestial Seasonings team. Mark Gorski, tell us about this man.
Well, he qualified with 10:82, which is a very good time, and I think if he can get in front of Kurt, the wind is a tailwind down the home straight, the final 50 meters. If he can take the lead and hit the home straight first, I think he could possibly hold off Kurt.
Kurt Harnett, however, is a very intimidating rider. We've seen that, Thomas Pren. He's not afraid of physical contact, a former hockey player, very muscular in his upper body, although Ken Carpenter at 6'4", 225 pounds, I mean, these are big men, and this could get physical.
That's right. In fact, Kurt, in one of the earlier rounds, ended up taking a couple spokes out of one of his opponent's wheels during the sprint. So these guys aren't afraid to mix it up.
I think really, Mark, you hit on it a little bit, that Ken Carpenter, pure speed, might have the advantage, but he's going to have to ride tactically superb in order to defeat Kurt Harnett, who's very, very experienced.
Well, Ken doesn't like the physical contact nearly as much as Kurt. Kurt likes to get a little rowdy out there, and I actually think that Kurt has a little more speed than Ken. Kurt qualified in 10.70, a new track record. Kurt is really on the top of the game. I've talked to him recently, and I've tried to tell Kurt, hey, he's got to be thinking about the East Germans and Russians and be looking to really the best in the world, because he's one of the best in the world right now.
He's focused his season on match sprinting this year. In previous years, he has been a kilometer time trial rider, earned a silver medal in the Olympic Games in 1984. where you got your gold medal, Mark, in the match sprint. And Kurt, I think, though, well, he's a good kilometer rider. Let's face it, you don't get a silver medal in the Olympics if you're not. But I think he really has found his place in match sprinting.
I think he's a better sprinter than he was a kilometer rider, and the fact that he's not riding the kilo this year has made a big difference in the sprints for him. And he's been so sharp this year. He didn't make the top, didn't make the final in the first Sundance event in Houston, but he's made the final every time he's ridden since then.
Now they finished the first lap, and at this point, if Ken Carpenter wanted not to be in the front position, he could have slowed down and maybe even stopped in an effort to force Kurt around to the front. But it appears as though Ken is satisfied with the front position and appears to want to use that front to control the race, Thomas.
Yeah, and we know both of these riders like long sprints, long drawn-out razor sprints where they accelerate all the way through the sprint. So again, that's going to make for a very even matchup.
Well, this is a real key part of the race right here. Ken is very concerned about keeping the front. He's watching constantly as he's going through this banking. You can see his head turn. He definitely wants the front right from this point in the race all the way to the finish.
Well, he commented that it was probably going to be a typical Ken Carpenter, Kurt Harnett sprint with the man at the front trying to control the race and just going all the way to the line. They're at 1 lap to go, and now we're going to see it. Ken Carpenter leading Kurt Harnett, and now Harnett with a little bump tries to come by, but Carpenter's able to hold him off. They're just about even down the backstretch. Now Carpenter moves into a bike length lead as they go into the final turn. 100 meters to go, time running. Carpenter with the lead, Harnett trying to make a run at him, but Ken Carpenter, the big American riding for Celestial Seasonings, gets the nod on this first race in the best of 3 series from the front. So next time they'll reverse positions. Kurt Harnett will get his chance at the front, but this time it was Ken Carpenter. Let's take another look at it, Mark.
I have to say, Ken Carpenter rode a beautiful race right here. He was the physical one. He held off Kurt Harnett going down the backstretch. He took control of the race, and he was very dominant in this race right here. There was no way Kurt was going to get around coming out of that last corner. Ken is just too fast from the last corner to the finish line.
There's the drag race, and Ken Carpenter, right of the screen, getting the best of it. It's close at the line, but a half a bike length is a long way. Ken Carpenter takes the lead 1-0 in this best of 3 for the match sprint gold. You're watching the Sundance Grand Prix of Cycling on ESPN.
This is the last time I go camping with a polka band. Thank heavens they're finally taking a nap. No! Oh, no, guys! Ludzki, polki, polchi, stop! 10 hours of polka is too much for any man! No! Boy, can I go for a Jenny now!
When you can go for a beer, go for a smooth, cold-aged Genesee.
A 1 and a 2 and a 3.
A grove of shade trees surrounds the perfect living environment near downtown Lebanon. Green Lane Apartments offer convenience in a quality-built, secure setting. Gourmet kitchens, central air, and ceramic tile baths are featured in these beautiful 1- and 2-bedroom models. Our on-site maintenance and management staff will assist you. Laundry and storage facilities add to the ease of living at Green Lane. Close to schools, stores, and transportation. Green Lane Apartments. Call us today.
The most prestigious and grueling race in the world continues. See the world's greatest cyclists compete in the ultimate test of human will, the Tour de France, Tuesday night at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Next up, the women's sprint final and what could be the deciding ride for the gold medal here in the last event of the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix. Here's the result of the first ride. Renee Duprel, Team Weight Watchers in the pink jersey in the front, and Julie Spate from Australia trying to come around her. But Renee Duprel just a little too much at the line. The length of a wheel, the margin of victory, so she leads 1-0 over Julie Spate. Now Julie right here, riding for Foster's Lager, a very appropriate sponsor for an Australian, has to win this ride in order to stay alive. Renee Duprel has the confidence factor of leading 1-0. She can afford to lose one and still come back. It's a best of 3 series between these two. Julie Spate being pushed off first. They have reversed their start position from the first ride. They draw for position for the first ride, reverse for the second, and if there's a third ride, they'll draw again. The leading rider, in this case Julie Spate, has to lead that first lap at a minimum of walking pace unless Renee overtakes her. And It looks like Julie's trying to run away with this race almost from the beginning. They're rolling along pretty briskly here, Mark, for the first lap of a match sprint.
Well, they really are. You know, Julie doesn't seem to have fully recovered from the accident she had earlier this year. She doesn't seem to be utilizing her upper body very much in the final 200 meters of the sprint. Renee is riding very well right now. I think she's going up against Julie when Julie really isn't quite on the top of her form yet, as she was at the Olympics last fall when she was 5th place.
Julie Spate 5th in the Olympics. Renee Duprel, runner-up to Connie Young in the U.S. Olympic trials, so she didn't get a chance to make that trip. And the injury that Mark's referring to is a broken collarbone. We've mentioned it many times on the series. She's her collarbone is actually pinned together with a plate of titanium and 6 screws.
Now, what she should probably do in this event is, because she really can't use her upper body, is to try and go for a longer sprint or wind it out a little bit more so she doesn't have to use that upper body.
It looks like that's what she's trying to do right here. She's trying to keep it wound up.
Sudden movements are painful. She's admitted that several times, and pulling, wrenching on the bars with her hands and arms causes her some pain in that shoulder. So Julie Spate leading briskly the first 2 laps. The pace will get even more brisk as we head into the final lap here of the bell. They are now on the backstretch with a little less than a half lap to go as they go into the final turn. Julie Spate leading. Renee Duprel starting to make a run, passing in the middle of the turn, obviously moving much faster. Julie Spate continues her acceleration, but Renee Duprel able to come all the way around even in the turn. 12.75 seconds, not a particularly fast time. Julie Spate congratulating Renee Duprel, Team Weight Watchers there, number 9, for her victory, a gold medal in the finals of the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix. Let's take another look at it. Here's Renee Duprel coming around in the middle of the turn, Mark.
Well, Renee was impressive coming over the top. You know, Julie, I think, made a common mistake of really not rolling it up, not really getting up to speed down the backstretch. And even though she was in the lead position, she really was not in control. And Renee was able to run hard at her into the corner. And even though she was passing through the corner, she got by pretty easily, I thought.
So Renee Duprel takes the gold medal in our match sprint final for women here in Trexlertown. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more from the Sundance Grand Prix of Cycling on ESPN.
It means everything. I can't explain how it feels to win a race you train so hard for. Checking winds and terrain, plotting strategy, knowing my bike's in top form, psyching myself up, conditioning my body, pushing it to the limit. So with all this to keep on top of, I can't take the clothes I wear for granted. That's why I wear cycling wear of Lycra. It's comfortable, aerodynamic, sleek, and stretches further to win.
It's Bud to the beat.
Come on, Big Brewhuna, surf's up.
Let's do it, Brew Doggy.
Hey, everybody, there's gonna be a surf-off.
Cowabunga!
That's a big wave.
I'm 6. Too big! It's the Bonsai Pipeline!
Oh, whoa!
What happened?
Who won?
Next time, let's just arm wrestle.
What's that?
Hey, buds, now you can get a special offer on Bud to the Beach sunglasses. Just look for this display wherever you buy Bud or Bud Light.
You've seen the rest, now get the best. It's TV's greatest sports bloopers. 60 minutes of the wildest, wackiest, funniest super bloopers ever recorded on one video cassette. From football fumbles to basketball fumbles, it's the sports blooper video everyone's been waiting for. Whether it's on the green or over the net or into the drink, you'll enjoy plenty of non-stop, gut-busting, bone-jarring blooper action. From the majors to the minors and around the world, you'll be amazed at the outrageous antics of some of your favorite sports and Hollywood movie stars. Get ready for hit after hit of the most bizarre bloopers and sports foul-ups you'd ever expect to see. Use your credit card now and get a pair of sports sunglasses free. This offer not available in stores. So for 60 minutes of the funniest collection of breathtaking, rib-tickling sports bloopers ever, use your credit card and order TV's greatest sports bloopers today. Call now, 1-800-554-2525 for TV's greatest sports bloopers for $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Use your credit card now and get a pair of Sunblocker sports sunglasses free. Call now, 1-800-554-2525 to get both the blooper video and free sunglasses. It's hilarious.
Our sprint champion, Renee Duprel of Weight Watchers, with us down in the infield. Congratulations, Renee. A job well done here.
Thanks, Ryan.
Renee, I know you would have liked to have had the opportunity to race against Connie in the final. How do you feel about that? And I wanted to ask you how you look to the World Championships, because the way you're racing, it seems like you should be able to break the top 4 this year.
I'd really like to do that. That's something I haven't done before, and
My racing's been a lot more consistent this year, but I was looking forward to racing Connie, certainly on this track, because I finally feel a little bit better. And racing against Connie will help me prepare for the Worlds. She's one of the best in the world. So it's a shame she's not here.
Well, Renee, you certainly did a fine job in winning your first gold medal on this tour. Maybe a little bit of an asterisk, but I have to say you looked awful good. Congratulations and good luck on your way to the World Championships.
Thanks, Ryan.
We're back for the men's missing out final, a very unusual kind of race that marks the Sundance Juice Sparkler Grand Prix. It is a race of attrition. Brian Drever, Thomas Pren, Mark Gorski, and a cast of what was dozens is now down to a dozen or so. The last rider on each lap is pulled out of the race. They go down to the final 3. They get a bell and a sprint for first, second, and third. We join the race in progress because they're down to about a dozen riders or so. We started out with nearly 30. The men's missing out. Bell ringing means that there's a special lap prize for the first rider over the line, but it's the last rider over the line who comes out. And this time it's number 71, John Walsh from Torrance, California, the Montrose cycling team. So one less rider is in the field, and we're seeing now what amounts to the survivors, Thomas, and from these survivors will come the winners.
Yeah. Where we usually see guys get into trouble is they get down on the pole line and all the riders in the back sweep up around, and then a guy maybe 10 back ends up getting caught. But that was a Team Leica rider that time that was pulled out.
It was Aaron Hartwell, who has been a real factor in a number of the races. Good kilometer rider, and he started doing a little bit of sprinting as well, but he was not fast enough to stay in the missing out in this missing out final. Mark Gorski now is a match sprinter. This is not the kind of race you really want to get into out there, but they are fun. I know you've ridden a few.
I'm having fun watching Gibby Hatton play games with the last guy on the pack each lap around there. It's more interesting to watch the back of the pack that are missing out, because you get some of the crafty sprinters, Gil Hatton or Paul Swift, Bobby Livingston, who kind of get somebody on their wheel coming down the home straight and just play with them to control somebody.
No, looks like Gibby's kind of run out of gas, though, back there in the back, and he's going to be eliminated this time. And the rest of the riders are still in there. They call this race Devil Take the Hindmost, because sometimes a rider at the back of the field will just try to beat one other rider. And we have a special spy in the sky, if you will, Nelson Vales. And there he is with a camera. There's his view, I should say, because he's riding at the back of the field with a camera mounted on his helmet. So he's giving us a good look. You can see the rider sweeps around to the outside. The trouble spot is left of the screen, down at the bottom.
That's what I was talking about, Brian. That rider at the bottom thinks he's in fine position because he's maybe in third place. But then coming around that last corner, all the riders sweep up the track, and he gets stuck down there.
Well, it was Paul Swift that got called out. He was the rider at the bottom.
Let's see if that happens again.
Nelson Vales stuck in the back of the field there, giving us a good view. Now on the outside, you can see the outside sweeps by, and the Weedy Schwinn rider is the one that gets pulled out. And that's Thomas Craven who comes out of there.
The dilemma of the missing out is by staying down low, you're protected by the wind. And you get outside, you're out in the wind more, and you use a lot more energy. So the riders on the bottom like to stay down there because they're doing a lot less work.
And we've got another Schwinn rider in trouble at the back there. It's Sean Wallace.
And looks like
no, it's going to be
Wallace stays in.
Yoshimatsu.
Number 8. I think it was Manuel Yoshimatsu, number 85, who got squeezed out on the outside there. Bronze medal in the Olympic Games in 1984 in the points race, the only mass start event on the track in the Olympics. So Yoshimatsu is out, and now we're down to 6 riders. At the back, playing the devil is a man who's suited to that role, Michel Vartan of Weedy Schwinn. He sweeps around the outside, and his victim, I think, was number 78, Graham Miller. Yoshimatsu actually is still...
No, they're calling Michel Vartan out because I think he must have gone underneath on the inside of the track or something.
Okay, Vartan was out on the last lap, so he is now withdrawn from the race. Sometimes it's difficult to communicate to the riders whether they are out or not. In this case, it's going to be Gene Samuel who sweeps up out of this picture and is eliminated way on the outside. You can't even see him. He's swung up to the top of the track. We're down to 5 riders now. 5 riders are left. 2 more will be eliminated. The final 3 will get a sprint for first, second, and third. Let's see who's in trouble this time. Trying to get around the outside, but it's again down on the bottom, inside, in trouble. Jim Pollitt, number 69 of Team Lycra, gets squeezed out of the back there. There he is, far right of the screen, sitting up.
Only one more rider to come out now.
Sean Wallace of Weedy Schwinn right in the middle. He has been very successful in these missing outs, has scored a lot of his points, and leads the series right now. An example of his all-round ability. Now the riders are coming into the home stretch, getting squeezed out the back.
Now it's
Yoshimatsu this time, number 85. It was Vartan who was out before. And the riders that we have left in the race right now include Sean Wallace of Weedy Schwinn, Bobby Livingston of, no, that's Brian McDonough of Team Lycra, and Graham Miller of IME. Miller is from New Zealand. He's the third rider on the track right now.
We have a lot of these riders coming up from down under, riding our summer track series here.
So 1 lap to go right now. Sean Wallace at the front.
Interestingly, Brian McDonough and Sean Wallace rode the pursuit earlier today. I would think they might be a little tired, but McDonough maybe will try and get around Wallace here coming down the final home straight.
Graham Miller, number 78, is the third rider in the line. Brian McDonough in the middle with the yellow and black shorts. Sean Wallace leading it out for Weedy Schwinn. Wallace very fast. McDonough tries to go underneath, but doesn't find any room, and Wallace is too fast anyway. Brian McDonough getting second. Sean Wallace the winner. Graham Miller from New Zealand takes the third place. Just ahead of Nelson Vales, our cameraman there. For the missing out final. Sean Wallace adds another 5 points to his already dominant total for the series lead. Here's the backstretch with Sean Wallace in the lead, Thomas, and nobody's going to get around him. Let's take a look at how it happens.
Yeah, you just see the incredible versatility of this rider. Look at that. Now you see, tries to come on the inside, does not have the room at all, and that's just, the race is over at that point. But Sean Wallace, tremendous overall rider. Look at that victory.
Working the bike all the way to the line. Another 5 points added to his total. This is going to be the series champion, Sean Wallace, winner of the men's missing out. You're watching the Sundance Grand Prix of Cycling on ESPN.
There are lots of sunglasses out there, but most are just illusions. These don't give you the clear vision you get from Ray-Ban sunglasses. These don't give you 100% UV protection. Only one has the quality of Ray-Ban sunglasses, and no others give you Ray-Ban style. Ray-Ban by Bausch & Lomb. Optics, not optical illusions.
Heat. It can be an athlete's toughest competition. Cool Max, the DuPont certified fabric that beats the heat by pulling sweat away from your body. So sports apparel of Cool Max keeps you cooler, drier, no matter how